Hello again, everybody. SC Playbook, the EPL edition. We're getting ready for game week 9 of the English Premier League, returning on Stan Sport across your screens this weekend. No Garby, who's just been offered a multi-million-dollar deal by R360 from all reports. So we'll see if we actually get him back at any stage. Matt Jurman, you are here preparing for game 1 in the A-League this Friday night up in Brisbane. Return to the old stomping ground. Excited to get off there and then return to your focus to the important stuff in here. Is that right?
Yeah, just go play the game and then worry more about this. Yeah. Looking forward to the game. Yeah, we're playing in Brisbane, Suncorp Stadium, so should be a big game up there in Brisbane, and hopefully we get a win to start the season. Brizzy
listeners, get up there, give Matty some heat from close to the sidelines. Yeah, that's right. Former fan favourite up there, as well as a couple of clubs across Sydney as well. Great to have you here listening. Thanks again for tuning in and all your support over the opening couple of months of this new program. It's been really good to have all the feedback and the listenership. A reminder as well, if you want to jump into the SC Playbook community, just takes $2 a week, less than your daily cup of coffee. And the chat group that we've got going on WhatsApp has been going absolutely bananas. People talking about trades, people talking about ins, all the latest team news in there for you as it comes to hand. And a player we're going to talk about very soon in Enzo Fernandez who's come back from Argentina with a little bit of a knock in his knee. So all your updates on guys like that, like Martin Ødegaard, who has been ruled out and who we're about to get to shortly, it's all fed to you right on your phone through that, as well as all the subscriber articles that are going up there from myself, Harry West, from Steve Nikolovsky, who's dived into the bargain bin this week to have a look at some of the guys that have fallen in value over the course of the first few weeks that have maybe not started the season as strongly as they would have liked, but might be just heading on a run of fixtures that lends themselves to gaining you a little bit of value and some points across the way. We're starting to get to that point in the season where it's a little bit more and more important. And if you're into your NFL, your cricket, which is getting started up, the NBA podcast has just started as well. All those branches of SuperCoach available amongst the SC Playbook community for just $2 a week. Head to scplaybook.com.au and subscribe in the menu. We brought you all the results from the week before, so we're going to try and steer away from a lot of the topics that we talked about last week with Matty, but steering you in new directions as well. If you've got any suggestions for us, players you are thinking about over the course of the next week or so, send them in, and we'll do our best with Garby and perhaps another addition to the SC Playbook family on the EPL side of things when we get together again next week. But the big talking point this week, Matty, is we've had confirmed that Martin Ødegaard is going to miss the next 6 game weeks with his injury. The shoulder seemed to be okay, but then the ankle, the knee, it just seems to be all sorts of things wrong with him. So we're suggesting a trade. Declan Rice has been rising in people's estimations. He's the second most traded in this week. Is that a trade, not as an Ødegaard owner, that you'd be looking to make to maybe shore up your midfield, get someone whose base stats are a little bit better and is on corners, crucially? This was a point Steve Nikolovsky made in his article this week. A team who score from so many could be a real asset going forward in the season. And if you trade him in at this point, he's looking like a keeper for players. There's a few midfielders falling in that back bracket. Enzo Fernandez, we'll talk about shortly. But first, your thoughts on the Arsenal midfielders.
Yeah, don't mind it. Actually, I think Declan Rice is a good shout. He's going to be taking set pieces, and as you mentioned, a lot of their goals have come in from the goal set pieces. So, yeah, Declan Rice. Be looking at Eze. He's a big one for me. I think he's going to take over that attacking midfield role in the 10, and he scored for England as well. So he's coming with some good form, and yeah, I think that's someone that people could target as well as Declan Rice from the Arsenal team anyway.
Eze actually coming in cheaper at Rice after the sort of stop and start to the season he had, making the move from Crystal Palace, trending in about 8.7 mil at the moment. Rice is sitting at 9.5, and you've mentioned a preference for Eze. I'm very interested to see how he sort of beds into that Arsenal side. Playing through the middle now, you're expecting him to with Odegaard out?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Odegaard's out for 6 to 8 weeks now. Yeah. It's a big loss for them. But at the same time, they've signed Eze to come in and help the team as well, and this could be his time to shine. So, looking at him to come into the Arsenal team and make a difference straight away.
And looking at that, because if you are making the upgrade from Ødegaard to one of these other Arsenal midfielders, you're going to have to trade out elsewhere unless you've got so much cash banked, and well done to you if that is the case and you can afford to keep the premium forward or defender there in his place. So I've scouted a couple of the cash cow options I don't mind at the moment. Some of them I do mind, but I'll get your thoughts on them one by one to start with. Ollie Watkins is the first, and you made the push for Daniel Marlin last week. That Aston Villa forward line should be starting to bang in the goals with the change of manager. Well, not the change of manager, but the change of form that they've had over the first side. Sorry, I'm just getting my claret and blues mixed up with what's happening at West Ham. But you're liking what you've seen from Villa last week, and they've got a favourable run coming up as well in terms of fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a good run. I think I should clarify that I was looking at bringing him in because I couldn't afford too many other players if I wanted to bring in Semenyo. So
yes, okay.
That was the options that I could afford if I brought Semenyo in, which is a target for me. But yeah, Villa, I think they can't stay down the bottom there for too long. They've got too many good players in that team, and they've got a good coach as well. So I see them sort of hitting their straps the next few weeks after they've got a dodgy run, don't they? I think
so. They're Spurs away, City at home, Liverpool away.
After that,
the next 3 weeks.
Yeah,
then
so
after that, Bournemouth, Leeds, Wolves, Brighton. That becomes a bit of a clearer shout just before the next international break kicks in.
Yeah, I mean, if you can stay clear for now, I'd stay clear for the next 3 weeks. But I mean, the Daniel Marlin was a shout for me only because of the cash that he could maybe build in a couple of weeks, and also I couldn't afford too many other players. So Semenyo is a big target for me, and I think the Villa players could, if you can avoid them for a few weeks, I'd be looking to try and avoid.
Okay, let's get a Manchester United and Benjamin Sesko. Your thoughts on him early? He's not struck me as one who looks as though he's going to come in and kill it. There's a couple moving for him at the 6.1 mil price tag at the moment. Yeah. Liverpool this week, which is difficult. Yeah,
I wouldn't sort of be bringing him in.
Holding off there.
Yeah, to come to Anfield and expect him to score big for you. It's very risky, but I mean, he's got that break even, and he's been scoring well in the last few weeks, so I can see why people are bringing him in, but at the same time, it's Man United, so I'd be very scared to bring in someone in their forward line, especially, you see the other big signings they've made this year in Cunha and Mbeumo, and I think Mbeumo's got maybe a goal and maybe a couple of assists, but apart from that, I don't think they've hit their straps just yet. So, I'd think very carefully about that one.
One who Garby was keen on earlier in the year and has started to work himself into the Chelsea starting lineup as one of these potential value options is Esteval. So played both games off the bench for Brazil in the break. They had a really interesting window. So took on South Korea, won that game 5-0, and then went and lost to Japan in the game. I think it was played this morning. There's some question marks around their form going into the World Cup, but keeping the focus on Esteval, he's one Chelsea fans are really, really excited about at the moment. I think Enzo Maresca's got a similar opinion of him. I'd be urging people almost towards him amongst any of the other options we've mentioned to this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's only just under 6 mil as well. And in a Chelsea team that got some good fixtures coming, I'd definitely keep him in mind. Any Chelsea players I'd recommend looking at, especially in the next few weeks. Even the Tottenham game, usually got a good record against them, I think. Chelsea players and Esteval, I'd bring in.
Esteval? How are you pronouncing that? Esteval. Esteval.
Yeah.
Is that the Portuguese?
No.
Or is that just the German ring on that?
It's mine. It's just mine.
And you can give him your own name once he starts scoring for you, right? Yeah. That's right. The last one I want to throw at you was someone I thought was moving and looked a done deal going to Atalanta in the preseason, but Rodrigo Muniz, who's been barely mentioned by us since the start of the year. But part of a Fulham team that is now moving in the right direction. They're not a standout side, but he's sitting there at 4.7 mil, playing a lot of weeks at the moment from memory as well. Like, this is a guy, looking at Fulham's run, let's have a look there. They've got a tough one against Arsenal at home this weekend, but then they go Newcastle away, Wolves, Everton, Sunderland. Again, just one that maybe is looking for some patience if you can get there. Maybe not a trade-in straight away, but one we'll be keeping an eye on over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think at that price, you can sort of have a gamble on a few of these guys that we've spoken about already. With the fixtures coming up, they could create some value, and you can either trade him out or keep him. But yeah, he's not a bad shout with that those fixtures coming up.
Yeah,
and it's someone that you were talking about in the preseason.
Yeah.
Didn't get that transfer. So
no, that's right.
Maybe you could bring him in.
You hope he's still got the fire in the belly. The thing I would hesitate on with a lot of these striking options, if you're downgrading a forward option that really is a premium at the moment, there's not too many of those that I really am thinking about trading out in terms of, Salah could still explode. He might be one that people are inclined to move on because
he's lost a bit of cash in the last few weeks.
He has. 2 goals for Egypt during the international window against Djibouti. And then fresh because didn't start in the game against Guinea-Bissau because that win for Egypt had secured their qualification into the World Cup. So good to see Mo Salah will be back on that big stage. Very, very excited to see him there. Antoine Semenyo, we had plenty of people correct it. Isn't this the way? I'd say, he's going to be off at AFCON with Ghana, who haven't, funnily enough, qualified for the World Cup this week, but aren't going to be playing in that tournament. So he's probably a hold for people moving that way as well. And he's someone I know you're really keen on given his start.
Yeah, I think they've just, as a team, they're good to watch. And, in that forward line, he's amongst everything that they do. So definitely someone that I'm looking at bringing in. I should have brought him in a few weeks ago, but you can't look back on any forward. So, yeah, I mean, the only way I can really get there is sort of by transferring Salah out, and I don't really feel good about it.
Not moving there yet.
Don't feel good about it. So, yeah, we'll see what movement I can have around the team, but I might have to downgrade one of my defenders.
Gee, I'm interested in getting your trades this week. Let's move there. So those are forward options if you're thinking about them to basically make a move for Rice or Eze. Down back, is there a premium you're sort of moving to without giving us your trades away just yet, Matty? Is there any premiums you're looking there? Gabriel's hit a very high price mark. There's a couple of others who've moved nicely. Tyreek Mitchell has been one that's talked about a lot, but his base stats are so solid. I don't think too many owners there are moving away. Is there someone that's caught your eye that maybe you are Van de Ven? Is that the way?
Yeah, it could be Van de Ven or even Matty Cash with the bad fixtures coming up. Just to downgrade to someone maybe who could also bring in some cash, and then so downgrade cash.
Downgrade cash for cash. Yep, that makes sense.
And then just upgrade the forward line or bring in one of those Arsenal midfielders. I think Longstaff still has a bit of more cash to
I hope so, because I'm trading him this. I think I'm moving towards him this week.
Yeah, bring him in. We can write it together.
That's it. So Matty Cash sitting at 8.5 at the moment. I tend to agree, just looking at that he's probably hit the ceiling that he's going to earn in terms of if you brought him in for a bit of cash generation, you're probably right in terms of moving to make way for some of those more premium options up forward. Any inclination around Gabriel at all?
I don't
No.
really...
You can just tell me no. That's fine too.
I think he's going to be a season keeper for me.
Yeah, right.
Unless something happens where he loses a lot of cash and I have to make some room for him. But yeah, some of these defenders that I've got, I don't really see them moving out of my team anytime soon.
And so the guys that are moving in, you're talking about a Matty Cash. So if you are looking for one of those Arsenal midfielders, you're going to have to probably move backwards. The two Buenos are really, really interesting. I'd be moving towards Hugo rather than Santiago because he has been playing and at the cheaper price point at the moment. But that's too big a question. Like, how are these guys going to play for Wolves at the moment? And in a team that, have not started this season towards their best form, bottom of the league as we sit here recording this on Wednesday going into game week 9. The good thing for them is the fixtures, Sunderland and Burnley, up over their next two, which is why people are being inclined to move for them. Thoughts
massive
there?
Massive games for them if they want to have any chance of staying up, especially after the bad start to the season. So, yeah, I don't mind those two. I'm not going to make too much cash out of that trade, but it's still better than nothing, I guess. Van de Ven, a bit more. But yeah, I think the Wolves players you could bring in for a 2-week gamble. It's not a bad shout.
Yeah, particularly that fixture. And Hugo was playing last time out, was subbed off late, but we're expecting him to keep that left back position. And he's a guy who does get forward as well. Like, we talk about Wolves as a team lower down the table. You're not expecting to play with as much possession, but he's getting into goal scoring areas every now and then. I think the safer option, the only reason I can't push him for myself is because I already own him. Maxime de Kuyper at Brighton, who had that little injury struggle at the start of the year, collided with the advertising hoarding and was out for a week on the back of that, which was eyebrow raising for an owner at the time, but he's now down again at 4.8 mil. He looks someone I'd be pushing people towards if you are looking to downgrade in your back line at the moment. And Brighton, they just keep going from strength to strength. I'm not even too worried about their fixtures, Matty, because they're not too bad in isolation. And the performances they put in against some bigger opposition this year have offered me enough promise. I think they should have got results from a couple of games earlier in the season, not least the Spurs game where they came from 2 goals down and really did look good in that game before they'd copped the opening 2-goal games. Is that a mentality as a player when you're not seeing results but perhaps getting the performances, you can get dragged into frustration a little bit, but you must have belief in the system as part of that squad at the moment.
Yeah, I think the coach has done a good job there since he started there, and I think they haven't started the season off as well as they thought they would have in terms of points, but I think like you said, the performances have been there, and at that price range for De Kuyper, I think it's not a bad shout to bring him in, and he'll make some value. The next 3 games they got Newcastle, Man United, Leeds. So not easy fixtures, but I see them beating Man United and Leeds.
Yep.
So Newcastle, you never know. That could be another win or could be anything, to be honest. So out of those 3 games, I don't mind those, to be honest, with Brighton. I think they're a good team and they can get a result out of those 3 games.
So those are some of the cheapies. Let's get to guys that are sort of in that mid-range for people that are looking at their options with a little bit more cash to their name in the early season. I'm one of these. Marc Cucurella. We talked about him last week. Yeah. He's dropped in price because of those couple of games where Chelsea had the red cards. He's now coming into one of the most annoying players in the league. You won't be able to keep your eyes off him. Chelsea fans love him. Everybody else despises him. Yeah. Is he a risk in that sense? I just love him as a player who flies forward, is going to stay fit, hasn't missed too many games over the course of the last few seasons for Chelsea, has missed a couple for Spain, just funnily, but is a guy that's going to be one of the first names on Enzo Maresca's team sheet. And I think if you are trading him in now, he's someone like a Matty Cash who you picked up earlier in the year that could be a cash generator, but even has the ability to become someone you turn into a season-long hold just because of the way Chelsea could move. And I know that's a big if, because their form to start the year has not been what Chelsea fans were hoping for, but I still think there's enough talent in this team. When you look at through the midfield with Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez running things, with João Pedro and Delap still to come back in.
And Palmer as well.
And Buemo, Esteval we've already talked about. They are full of potential, which is what we're buying on in this game, right?
Yeah, I think he's a good option. I don't really like watching him as a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
He's
an irritant. He's an irritant, isn't he?
Yeah, the way he goes down and stuff, I don't like that. But I'm just looking at his profile now, and he's most people are trading Juve to him, and you make a bit of money off that, so it's not a bad shout. I like Chelsea fixtures coming up, and he's always getting forward as well, so he's getting goals and assists, and most of the time their defense is pretty good, apart from when they get a man sent off, which is pretty likely at this rate. So definitely can see why people are looking at bringing him in. He's at a good price, and I see him creating quite a bit of value in the next month or so.
Break even of 1 as we sit here, going into a game against Nottingham Forest, and we'll get to Ange in just a moment. The other defensive option I want to touch on quickly before we move away from this little seg about who you should be bringing in and out for Martin Ødegaard and juggling your team if you are an owner like me. Who am I looking at here?
Gusto.
No, Miller's Kirkes. Now, Gusto's one... Actually, yeah. Go Gusto first. I brought him in at some stage this year because Reece James' injury, the fact that he started that game in midfield. Can we see Enzo Maresca continuing with that little run? It's a bit too iffy just to bring him in on the evidence of one game for me, but it's certainly one to keep an eye on.
But if Reece James is out, I can't see why he wouldn't play right back or right.
See, I'm almost more inclined to move him in if James is fit and he continues to play through midfield. That's a scoring player, and that's a guy who's going to have more defensive contributions because he's going to be near the ball, putting in challenges, playing a defensive role there. There's enough actions there that he's going to score and move his base up.
Yeah.
And then if he can add a goal or two, why not?
Happy days, yeah. He's under 5 mil as well, so it's not a bad option to bring in, especially with Chelsea's fixtures. You don't have to play him even. Just to downgrade and make some money off that trade, and then look at someone else if you're looking at bringing a midfielder or the front third. So I wouldn't be against that at all.
Yeah, thanks for chipping in with that little guy. I know it's just hand you over the reins of guide in the podcast. That's it. The potential pod I wanted to talk about quickly was Miller's Kirkes, who has dropped in value. Garby's still an owner at this stage in the season. 6.3 mil at the moment. Liverpool, their defensive worries, there's a lot of question marks, similar to Salah. Your thoughts on, he worries me with his defensive application. And, this is being part of a whole in terms of what you're building in terms of base stats and how often you're going to pick up clean sheets in addition to that. I do wonder about if his price is actually going to drop further before he goes up.
Well, he's already lost 2.4 mil.
Came in as one of the most expensive. Coming out of that Bournemouth team that kept one of the most clean sheets in the league last year. So it's going to be hard to keep that rate. Are you jumping in at the price now or waiting for him to fall a bit further?
That one for me is a bit hard because I feel like Robertson's come in.
Yes, as well. Good point.
Quite a few times off. He even subbed him off at halftime against, I can't remember who it was, but I think it might have been last game or the one before that where he come off at halftime. He had a yellow card. Looked like he was getting closer to being sent off. So he made the sub at halftime and brought Robertson on. And I mean that's one of the positions in the Liverpool team where it's quite even. I think still, even though Robertson's got a bit older, I think Kirkes hasn't really played as well as he did last year, and it still takes a bit more time to get settled in a different team and different way of playing as well. So, but in saying that, Kirkes is he's a top player, and at that price point, if he's starting for Liverpool, which he probably will, it's not a bad option to bring in.
Just want to watch Andy Robertson as well, sitting at 5.8 at the moment. Again, not encouraging people to move for him just yet, but that just piqued my interest quickly. One more I want to get to before we start talking about Ange and what's happening at Forest. Enzo Fernandez has been someone raised in the group quite a bit this week. Now, he's gone away with Argentina, played the first game against Venezuela, and then has returned to Cobham with a swollen knee. Yeah. Whatever that means. Knees, fantasy football, not a good combination. But 9.8 mil is 5.2% owned at the moment. My urge is to tell people to hold if you're an owner at the moment and just see how that all plays out. And similar for people thinking about trading him in as a prime midfield option or a bit of a point of difference if you are going away from one of those Arsenal options that we've discussed already.
Yeah, I don't mind that shout, to be honest. I think he's on penalties while Palmer's out, and he's going to bring points from both ends of the field. So, yeah, he's a good shout. I had swollen knee once, and it wasn't nice.
It wasn't nice?
But
Did it develop into anything more, or just draining it?
Drained out, yeah.
Oh.
Just once, but after that it was sweet. So maybe that's what he's going to have to do. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know how bad it was. So.
How much time out? Can I ask?
No, it was
not long.
A couple of days. Yeah.
Couple of days.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's promising.
Yeah,
that's very promising.
So hopefully he's all right. But we'll have to look at the press conference and see how he's pulled up. But I think he's going to be sweet to play, to be honest.
Okay, that's good news for potential owners there. Enzo Fernandez, very interesting watch. So there are your options there. Rice, Eze, Fernandez. We've given you all the pros and cons. We'll make a move when we get to our trades about which of those we're looking to bring in. Final question. News this week. Ange Postecoglou, Nottingham Forest, not going well. No wins in 6. The reports out of England this week are that Sean Dyche is being... Hey?
Maybe
no wins in 7. Yeah. There you go. Sean Dyche being lined up as a potential replacement.
Yeah.
Can you track the thinking here? Because I certainly can't. From the owner, Evangelos Marinakis, we know he's prone to this sort of thing, but it makes very little, if any, footballing sense, right?
I agree. I mean, we spoke about it before, how, he's brought Ange in, obviously, to bring a different style of play to Nottingham and their fans. Hasn't started off well. It's been a bit of a disaster, I guess, in that regard for results. They've been in a lot of the games and probably could have got more out of some of them, but they haven't, and that's really all they care about is the results, especially in England. So yeah, hopefully his luck changes. But they're playing against Chelsea, but they're at home, so hopefully they can get a result for Big Ange and start off a good run. But they're coming up against the Chelsea team where it's going to be quite tough.
I'm just looking at some of the players and the money they've lost this year. Chris Wood, who started as one of the premium strikers coming off such a good year, had those couple of chances in a game a couple of weeks ago that he turned up, and that could have really changed the narrative around Ange if they'd gone on to win that one.
Yep.
He's down at 5.5 at the moment. Elliot Anderson, who's someone people are so keen on, 6.9, 5.9 for Dan and Doy, who's gone down from a mark around 7. Morgan Gibbs-White just not making an impact. Callum Hudson-Odoi. But I'm reading these names to you, Matty. Like, this is a team of talent. Have you seen any signs that Ange has been able to impress his style on this team at the moment?
I mean, it takes a bit of time. Like
no pre-season,
nothing. Very different, right?
And those 7 games you mentioned, and you're spot on that statistic, by the way, have come in 30 days.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first extended period. He has had a couple of those guys away on international duty, Wood with New Zealand, Williams over with Wales, I believe. But he has had the core. So Anderson and Doy, Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi have all been in with him for a couple of weeks. Is that something you can see turning the tide for him? Just having that little bit of time on the training ground with him?
Definitely helps. Helps these periods where, you've had a bad run. And, as a coach, obviously you want to, get on the training field with as many players as you can that haven't gone away and just try and work on things that have gone wrong in that period. Especially, in the defence, usually where they're quite strong. They've had it been known for being very strong defensively. So in the last month or two, they've copped some goals that they wouldn't normally cop. And one player that has done well for me watching some of their games is Igor Jesus.
Yes, Igor Jesus.
I think he's scored quite a few goals and he's come out of nowhere for me. I didn't really know much about him until watching their games closer this year with Ange being there, and he's someone that's sort of got on the score sheet a few times, and someone that could be maybe potential value if they start hitting their straps.
Ultra value option, 3.5 mil. You're not finding many strikers in the game at the moment for that sort of price. Again, a watch and see. Yeah, the games against Sunderland and Newcastle, it was very, very impressive particularly. And it'll be interesting to see if Ange can right the ship there. Just on the move to Dyche, potentially, like, is he not this is my thinking, is that you've moved to Ange potentially for a style of play. I don't know if any of this is passing through Marinakis' head, but you are essentially getting a lesser version of the coach you just sacked in Nuno, right? There's similar styles of play and going to be a watch away in terms of attacking talent if he does come in. But someone like a Milenkovic, maybe if they are shored up at the back again, then he could be a bring-in. Kiva Kelleher has played well. Not too many looking to trade their goalkeepers at the moment, it must be said. Raya's a safe option. Petrovic has started the season well for Bournemouth. But Milenkovic particularly was one of the highest scoring in the game last year, if we'd been applying statistics that we were looking for this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think him and Morata, I think they had a good combination last season, and they've got into Europe playing that style of play that obviously they were set up for the last few years under Nuno. And obviously there was some tension between him and the owner, and that's maybe the reason why that they've got rid of him. But like I said, they've gone from one certain style of play to Ange's style of play, which is very different, very attacking minded. A lot of ball possession, where Nuno was a bit more, let them have the ball and we'll get them on the counter attack, and if you bring in Dyche, it's going back to that almost. That's the version in that regard, So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully, like I said, gets a result over the weekend, and some of that talk is gone for a few days. But it's all about. It always seems to be about Ange in the press, and I think some people enjoy seeing him, down and in the dumps. So, but he's a strong man, and I'm sure he's been in this situation many times in his career as a coach. And I'm sure he backs himself to get them out of this.
He does seem to rub the English press up. Well, it was all love at the start of things, right? And then things just deteriorated as things got worse for him. He's got that bristly demeanor, prickly demeanor when things aren't going his way. Yeah, he does. And I think being a journalist over there, they know what to ask. Exactly right. To get those They're
reactions.
the experts.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always easy when you're talking about a game after it. And, I'm sure he prepares every game, as best as he can. So, being under him, I know that he would sort of tick every box. It sometimes doesn't go to plan all the time, and you sort of have to have a certain plan B or C sometimes. In saying that, the players need to get used to his playing style, and like I said, it's very different to what they're used to. So maybe they need a bit more time to get used to him.
Be very, very interesting to watch. Let's get down to some of the guys that have been most traded in, most traded out over the course of the last few weeks. We've talked through a lot of these guys already. Cucurella's most traded in. Declan Rice we've chatted about. Jean-Paul van Hecker is another one. I mentioned De Kuyper at Brighton. Another player similar to yourself, Matty. Big, strong boy at the back, and a Brighton team that seemed to be improving defensively. He could be an interesting watch. Bukayo Saka's not one we mentioned as somebody to be targeting in an attacking sense. But if you're looking for a mid-ranger up there, Arsenal's run of form, we've been very high on Chelsea and Arsenal assets over the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks. They've got the softest runs of the big teams, and Arsenal particularly finding a run of form, which is very, very exciting for their supporters and owners of their players in SuperCoach. Antoine Semenyo, Matty's given you his thoughts on him. This name just piqued my interest before we move into some of the guys we might try and convince you to hold. Mason Mount sitting at 4.4 mil has come to the forefront of the thoughts of Ruben Amorim at Manchester United. Playing in an attacking role, we've talked a lot about Bruno Fernandes and how deep he's being utilised at the moment. Guy who, on his day, at Chelsea particularly, was fantastic. Hasn't hit those same heights at Man United. Might just be another watch for now.
Yeah, I'll gladly just watch.
Any Man United players you're not keen on at the moment, right? I think rightly so, just quietly.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to bring someone in, I'd be looking at Fernandes or I like watching Cunha as a player, but he hasn't really hit his straps yet either. So Mason Mount, I can see why. He's obviously very low in value, and he scored last week. Similar to Van Heck, he scored as well. So, I can see why that people are looking at bringing him in. He's low break evens, make a bit of cash. But yeah, you can't really be thinking about long season holds with those ones for me. Anyway, that's my opinion. But
that's what you're here for, Matty.
Yeah,
your opinion.
I'd stay away from Man United as well going into Liverpool. But yeah, that's me.
Another week. Let's quickly, some of the most traded out. We talked about the Everton duo of Jack Grealish and Keenan Dewsbury Hall. I'll get it out eventually. Last week, Joao Pedro, again, urging people, just hang on there. Chelsea could be set to explode over the next 4 weeks or so. Elhaj Diouf, fourth most traded out this week across the board. Hey, not my guy. I've never had him in.
You've been backing him. I've been backing him.
I think he's one. I was talking to Spy a couple of weeks ago. I think he's the one to keep in rather than Mickey van der Ven at the moment. I think West Ham are set to go on a bit of a run themselves. 7.7. I understand people moving down and perhaps thinking he's reached the peak of his cash generation. West Ham as a whole at the moment for you, Matty. Jarrod Bowen's another interesting one, playing as the only real midfielder classified in the game as a straight-up forward. You've seen their form improving a little bit. Let's get their fixtures up quickly. Brentford away this weekend, then Brentford at home, Leeds away, Newcastle at home, Burnley at home. It's a nice little run of games at the Olympic Stadium against beatable opposition.
Yeah, I don't mind the West Ham shout now with the new coach. I see those, especially Diouf, getting amongst it, getting forward when he's able to. And Bowen's always... I can't really go against Bowen. He's a good shout. It just depends who you're trying to take out of your team at the same time.
Should mention that the reason people are soft on Diouf is because of the break-even this week. It's 14. And again, I don't know. If you put together 4 solid performances over that week, I'm not worried about break-evens. And particularly could turn, again, into someone like we've talked about with a lot of these mid to top range defenders that can turn into a season-long hold if things are going there. I think there's better options out there if you're not already invested in him, and without wanting to wade into sunk cost fallacies and all that sort of stuff. This is a guy who has delivered for you to this stage in the season, probably above what people were expecting. I guess a bit of the worry is that the base stats aren't quite as high as some of those defenders in the same position. But again, just a week or two longer, and I think your mind could be changed there. Mickey van der Ven, you're an owner there.
Yep.
So he's the last one I want to press you on here. Spurs at the moment, 1 week look really solid at the back, and then the next week they give up 2 to Brighton, and a lot of it is of their own doing.
Yeah.
Talked a bit about Vicario as well behind him at the moment. How's your confidence in he and Romero's pairing at this stage in the season? I don't think it's been quite as strong as some were predicting with both of them back in fit.
Yeah, not as strong as they started the season. And I did read that they're even potentially looking at another goalkeeper, bringing him into challenge Vicario, which is interesting. So I actually don't mind the other keeper, Kingski, I think his name was. He came in late last year, and I mean I don't see him as a trade in particularly, but I didn't mind him as a player. But yeah, with Van der Ven, I sort of the break even's getting quite high.
Yes.
So if you are looking to downgrade to someone to make some money, it's not a bad option. But at the same time, it's just hard, very hard, unpredictable to know which Tottenham defence is going to turn up, and they're playing against Villa, who haven't been
the most consistent themselves.
Scoring goals, for example. But, he's not immediate. Yeah. He's not immediate trade out at the moment.
Antonin Kinski is the guy we were looking for. So you're right, did come in towards the end of last year and played a couple of solid games. So that'll be a watch. And that has an effect on things moving further forward rather than just the goalkeeper himself.
Yeah, but in regards to Tottenham, Richarlison's the one that I need to maybe get out because I think he's too unpredictable in terms of if he's starting or not as well. So that's someone that I'm looking at trading out this week as well.
Trade plans shortly. Stay tuned. Injury concerns out of the international window. So confirmed that Cole Palmer will be missing until November. So that's another 2 or 3 weeks that you're looking with him out. I reckon they'll probably save him until after the next international break, if I'm honest. Yep. So he's probably a move at the moment. Odegaard, we've talked about, similar situation. Reece James withdrew from the England squad, should be fit to play this week, given the fact that he didn't play in either of those games. Alisson Becker, not too many owners there, but he's out for a couple of weeks as well. And the other Liverpool one, which was a disappointment coming out of Dutch camp, was Ryan Gravenberch, who's started this season really well.
Yep.
At 11.7, I think he's sitting at the moment. That's a move.
The glue.
The glue. And he is the glue, which is so disappointing, right?
Yeah. Well, what was the injury? Did you
hamstring.
Okay.
So that's 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
Yeah. At that value, probably move him on to one of the Arsenal players.
All things apply that we were just talking about in terms of Fernandez, Enzo and Bruno, in terms of Cole Palmer. All things stand if you're an owner there and you're looking at midfield replacements. Right, Matty, let's get to the tasty stuff. Trade plans this week. Team set up for after the international break. Let's go your trades first.
All right, trades for this week. I'm looking at trading cash out.
Yep.
Probably for Cucurella.
Okay.
Even though I don't like watching him play. But, hopefully he can change that.
You might change your opinion over the next few weeks. You never know.
And Richarlison.
Which of those striking options that we've put to you today? Or is it going to be able... Have you got enough cash in the back to go up to...
I don't have enough.
Yep.
So I'm going to have to do a boost.
Yep. Okay, so you're going to go treble trade this week.
Potentially triple trade. But if I don't do that, I'll just stay with Gyökeres.
Okay.
And do the two.
And just bench Richarlison, wait another week, see if something is played. Oh, okay. Just the two.
Richarlison out.
Richarlison out.
For Gyökeres.
For Gyökeres.
Yeah, I won't be able to afford Semenyo if I keep Salah. So
okay.
Trading Salah out is the only way to that move.
Okay. I don't mind that Gyökeres move either.
Yeah.
All the stuff we talked about with Arsenal's fixture, it really does look like a scoring opportunity for them over the next 4 or 5 weeks. My Ødegaard's trade is straight to Sean Longstaff, needing the cash, needing to make that play. And finally, the run for Jeremy Frimpong. You will not be forgotten. You will not be forgiven for the injury problems, for the form drops, for what seems to be an adverse relationship with Arne Slot after being at the club for 2 months. So, Hugo Bueno, the risk is there. We need to take risk at this stage in the season, given I'm sitting just inside the top 10K. It has been a disaster, Matty. Nothing short of it. So I'll continue to come in here with my head in my hands week on week.
I think I did start with him, though. So it sounded like a good trade at the start of the season, right? And I can understand why you've held him, but... Yeah,
didn't move quickly. I've not moved quickly enough. I've not moved quickly enough.
Need to get away from that one. So that was, I think that's a smart move. But maybe he might hit his straps after you trade him out.
That's right. That's right. So in terms of captaincy, firstly, team setup. Is there guys you got your eye on benching, particularly looking at your team sitting here on Wednesday?
Yeah, I'll probably look at benching Van der Ven.
Yep.
Rodri and Josh King this week.
Okay. Yeah. I don't mind that. I think I'm going to go with 3 up top with Salah, Haaland and Pedro all expected to score healthily. It might just be a 2 or 3 midfield. You went with 2 in midfield a couple of weeks ago, didn't you? Yeah, so
the week before.
That might be the way to go. Papsar is a growing concern for me, given the fact he seems to be losing his spot in the side after I called him, hey, keep this guy in, and he scored the week after. He's slowly losing his place in that team, which I find hard to understand. I'm definitely biased in my assessment there. Josh King will be sitting on the bench for me this week as well. Reinders, Simmons definitely to start, potentially Longstaff in there as well. And then the 4 defenders will be Hartman, Saliba, Anderson and De Kuyper, with Bueno not knowing whether he'll start or not, sitting on the bench. Petrovic in goal for me. Harry Tyrant not providing us a loop option this week, Matty. So where are you looking in terms of captaincy plays for game week 9?
Captaincy this week, I'll be looking at... Haaland's got to be amongst it somewhere.
Yep.
Either VC or Capitano.
Everton. Deep in thought here, Matty. I can feel the tension growing.
Maybe.
Is there any way you can go outside Haaland?
Maybe just a Gabriel VC. And
I don't mind that. Don't mind that.
on Haaland. That's what I think I'll do.
I'm sitting with Erling Haaland as captain. It's been about my only consistent source of points over the last few weeks. So we will be sitting there with the SuperCoach Plus predicting a score of 15 against Everton. Be more than happy with that. Mohamed Salah against Man United. That's my VC this week. He has to come good, doesn't he, Matty?
Surely this is the week.
This is the week. We'll keep telling ourselves. So that's the plans for this week from a SuperCoach perspective. The schedule, the 10:30 early kickoff, Nottingham Forest against Chelsea, Sunderland against Wolves, Burnley Leeds, Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth, Brighton versus Newcastle, and Manchester City versus Everton. The midday kickoffs in England, 1 a.m. kickoffs here, the 3 p.m. kickoffs, in England, 1 a.m. kickoffs here. Fulham Arsenal, the late kickoff on the opening day of the 9th game week. Spurs versus Villa, Liverpool versus Man United on the Sunday. Going to be fantastic fare for us on Monday morning here in Australia. And then Tuesday morning, West Ham against Brentford. So if you are looking for a captaincy loop, you've got to be looking at those two teams, not claiming too many highly owned players there. So I think it might be a week, plenty miss out on that this week, but we'll be back to hopefully giving ourselves 2 cracks at the captaincy in a week's time. Just a quick thought on the state of Australian football. You've obviously got the A-League to start, but Australia 2 games against Canada and the United States, 2-1 win over the Canadians, 1-0 win over the Canadians, 2-1 loss to the United States this morning. Thought Mo Toure and Nestor Irankunda looking very exciting as an attacking duo at the moment for Tony Popovic.
Yeah, I think you could see in the first game they started and they just got that energy about them.
They've got that understanding, don't they? The time at Adelaide.
They love playing together. Yeah. They're young, they're electric. You know, they bring something different to the team. And now Popo used them in a different way today against Americans. Brought them off the bench and they brought
looked okay.
Yeah. So I think you've got to. I think those two definitely put a best foot forward for the World Cup squad coming next year. But yeah, I think Popper would be disappointed with. I think it's his first loss.
So. Unbelievable. More than 12 months in the job, where you consider consider where they were coming from. A draw against Indonesia and Indonesia. Arnie just completely under the pump. He has done a magnificent job with this team to get them where they are now. And Geordie Boss, terrific this morning as well. We'll guide you in there, Matty.
Mate, top player. I think he's definitely one of the ones that are going to be ones to watch for the future for us. Having a great season over in Feyenoord as well, and I think a lot of teams are looking at him to sign him. Especially in those bigger leagues. England and Italy, Spain. Definitely his price tag's definitely gone up a lot more, especially after this morning's goal. So. And performance. He played great as well. We
might be talking about him from a SuperCoach perspective in the next 6 months or so, which would be very, very exciting ahead of the World Cup. Just quickly, your thoughts on how Popper's setting this team up. They are defensive. It's a 5 at the back. Yep. We expect that from Popper, right? This is what he's built his coaching brand on, if you like. Is that the best way to get the best out of the group of players he's got available to him at the moment? No, Adrian Segic was a big talking point going into the weekend, but he hasn't been much missed. I think it's fair to say that.
Yeah, and he's given opportunities to a lot of players, especially in the last few windows where they've qualified already. So he's had these friendly games to be able to see some other players and see if that fits his style and if he wants to bring him in for these next games in the next window, and then obviously the big tournament next year is where everyone wants to be. So, quite interesting. There's been a lot of debuts and some younger players come in, which has been good to watch. But at the same time, it's Popper's getting the results with this formation and style of play, and maybe that does suit us with the players that he's got up front with the flair and. The younger ones that just they don't even, I don't think they know what they're doing sometimes, and that's also a good thing to have on your team. So interested to see how they go in the next few games, and then I'm looking forward to watching them at the World Cup to see how they go this time around.
Hopefully can still scrape into pot 2 and avoid Germany, which was the big talking point going into that game against the United States. The other thing that kicked off over the weekend, the Australian Championship. You catch much of this? It was fantastic on SBS, I thought, and a lot of solid crowds around the competition. Coverage really solid. Biased in my opinion on that, but some really cracking games. South Melbourne versus Sydney Olympic on the opening night was terrific fare, 3-2 win for South, and launched the competition after that. Some brilliant goals, crazy atmospheres, and really strong. What we want to see for Australian football.
Yeah, it was good to see. You know, it was more football, more for people to watch. Free to air on SBS. All the games were there. So, yeah, for me, it was great to see. You know, some great goals. You know, some high scoring games as well. Big crowds at some of the venues. And hopefully it continues this week and some nice goals and wins by some of the Sydney teams.
And I've got to ask you, you got your eye on that competition from a playing perspective at all? Just a whisper?
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it just to see how it goes, and hopefully it does have that success and stays around long term. You know, there's still a few mates of mine playing in those leagues.
That's right.
We'll see. I was watching Vedran play for Sydney United. Won't be happy with that goal that he copped in the last minute. But yeah, I think it's good to see that, you know, there's another competition. People that love football, you know, it's there was an international weekend, so there's no EPL to look forward to. So, you know, people went down and watched these games and supported their old clubs, which is great to see. You know,
couldn't agree more. Very excited for what the rest of that competition's got to offer up until the start of December. Matty, best of luck for the weekend. Opening game against Brisbane Roar in the A-League on Friday night. We'll be tuning in. 9 o'clock kickoff, I think, down here. Yeah. Nice late one for you up there. 8 o'clock kickoff. Yeah. Don't get that too often.
I think we're flying on the same day as games. So
there we go. Nice and rest and recovered. And then you're off to Vietnam next week for an Asian Champions League game. Is that right? So we're going to be missing you.
Yep. Vietnam on, I think, Monday or Tuesday.
Yep.
And then play later on in the week and then come back and then prepare for Adelaide on Monday. So big few weeks.
You're a busy boy. R360 sending their offer to you in the mail as well. We've enjoyed your company. If anyone's got any of those R360 contracts floating around, I'm interested in terms of hosting a podcast, whatever you need. But until then,
10-year ban.
10-year ban from what? From this studio? From SC Playbook? Yeah. Who knows? I can do both.
Don't risk it.
I'll phone it in. That's okay.
Garby's taking it.
Well, that's right. Garby's taken it already. So we'll look forward to see if we ever get him back. In the meantime, the plan for now is to be here next week. Not sure who will be with me. Hoping Garby's back. We may have another edition as well that will be released during the week. Thanks to Matty the Water Boy. He's putting it all together for us again. Thank you for you tuning in over the course of the weekend. Best of luck with your Fantasy Premier League side. And SuperCoach rolls on. We'll be back next week. Goodbye.